Hello, happy Halloween, everybody. Welcome. Hi, Jen.
Hello.
We are here for today's HR Huddle, and maybe in the spirit of Halloween and trick or treat, we thought we might pick a tricky topic, one that we just thought was important and timely. And that is the idea of making the vote that's coming up available and ready. And what are we doing about that? And then we've been getting asked some questions about, taking stands about maybe some different positions or things that could turn political. They're maybe not political, but we're watching firms and companies do that. So we're going to look at it from a couple different places. And I was telling Jen that I was with my mom this weekend, and she had shoulder surgery and then had pneumonia and has had some complications, and it's been a rough couple weeks. And so I got to see her on Sunday and take her out to sit in the sunshine because it's beautiful right in here in Minnesota for the end of October. And her number one concern, in spite of all her pain and everything else that was going on, is where's my ballot? I need to be able to vote. And making that available to her. And there was some complications with that too, to get it out of her mailbox at her assisted living. And anyway, my brother is like, I'm going to take care of it. I will either take her to the polling place or I'll figure out how to get her ballot and we'll get it dropped off. But that was just so important to her. And we think it's important to a lot of people. And we want to make it available to people. And so from a workplace, and when we're talking, to partners and HR leaders, it's something that we want to make sure that people feel like they are able to do, and that it's supported. They have the time, they, have the tools that they need. They know where to go. I know some of that sounds obvious and basic, but I don't think it is as much. And it's changing and it's complicated. And so we just want to make sure from a workplace perspective that we are able to support our team members in the ability to practice, the right to vote and to be able to get out there and to do that and to feel supported to be able to do that. So we thought we would start and just, talk about that for a moment. Jen, what else would you want to say about that?
Well, just that, most of us were raised and have been schooled and parented to say, gosh, when you're at work, don't talk about politics, don't talk about sex, don't talk about religion.
Religion.
Those are
Money.
the three.
Money.
Yeah, money. Money. Yeah, money. I mean, you talk about money with your boss or whatever, but you're right. There's a short list of taboo topics, and so politics could be sort of ingrained in the senior leaders of your firm's minds as like off limits, do not discuss. But we're not. I think the first part of what we're trying to advocate for is just get out the vote, and get people to both feel a civic duty to do it, but not so preachy like that. More like feel the room to do it, because if we are doing some, traveling to the office, as some firms are doing now and then, my precinct where I vote is probably close to my house. And so if I am traveling for work, if I am, traveling to the clients, or I'm traveling to an office and it's away from my home, I need during that, Tuesday, if I'm voting in person, I need to be able to get back close to my precinct and do so anticipating lines and that sort of thing. I myself am a absentee voter. I vote by mail, or I vote by dropping my ballot off ahead of time. I go to great lengths to get my ballot ahead of time because I travel, as Tamera does. We're travelers, and so we aren't ever sure we'll be home on the voting day. And so it scares us. And so we get an absentee version and we vote without having to care about being close to our precinct when we are actually doing the voting act. But we need to recognize those that don't do it that way. As employers, we can't schedule them up to 5 o'clock that day if they've got a long commute to get back to their precinct and expect them to get there before the polls close. And I think most, young adults feel it's pretty important to get out there. And so I would not inconvenience them. I think that's really critical. We care about the whole self of our people, and that includes their civic selves. And we want to support them where possible in getting to do that. So I just think we have to pay attention to it, communicate our intend to support it, and not just communicate it like, of course, everybody knows we're going to support it, but tell your department heads, make sure that maybe a firm-wide email is going out. Maybe there's even a little bit of a social media campaign that says, hey, that day, recognize our people will be both working and making time to vote. And that would also help you get the vote out with clients and that sort of thing too.
Yes, I love it. I think that's a great idea to do the social media campaign and just really promote it, to all places. And, that it's important and it's something that we value and we want to make it available. And so that's scheduling and firm wide that it's, we want to do that. Well, so I think the other piece that we were talking about is sometimes we get the questions about, especially, as we look up at human concerns or, taking positions on different things. The whole, Black Lives Matter, is an example, or even just about Ukraine and the war, or there's things about, we as a company at Convergence, feel like we need to take care of human beings in this world. And so we'll take a stand and we'll take a position, and we've become, more public about that. We've seen other firms and organizations and companies do follow similar suits, or maybe we're following them. I don't know, but we're on this, path of maybe more transparency and more proactive communication about some of those positions. And I know in the climate that we have, it can turn like it's political. And so, where do we draw the line? Where do we, take a stand on that? And so, like I said, we've taken the stand that on many issues, not all, but on many issues, we'll take a public position. We tell our team, and we might say it as a company, doesn't mean they need to post it in social media. They don't need to support it. But as a company, from a human being, especially when it's a human being, I think that's an easy place for us to look and say, if it affects human beings, then we are going to take a stand about that. And so, and Jen, I think, we might probably started that 3-4 years ago. And that we started to really, look at some of that positioning and messaging, that we have been supporting and willing to say we support as a company. So, and I know that's tricky. That's one of the, tricky things is, where do we, draw that line? What does that look like? But we think it's important. So, and Jen, what do you think about that?
Well, great leaders are transparent, and they're authentic. And so it's super hard to act like big things going on in the world aren't affecting us or aren't affecting our business relationships and aren't affecting our clients. It's almost impossible. Plus, we're so talent focused as an organization. We're leadership and talent focused. And so talent is human beings. That's the people. And what they're concerned about and what they care about, we think leaders should be focused on. And so it just turns out that we are advocates of organizational leaders taking more positions on social issues. And I think that when we really sort of solidified our intention to do that ourselves was probably as the pandemic was rolling out. We were affected, obviously, or our engagement started canceling. We were afraid to travel, all of that. But we realized that our clients were turning around and looking at us and saying, what do we do? And how do we keep our people safe? And should we go back to the office, or, what do we do? And so we just really dug in and read and learned and talked to as many people as we could, and then started to take some positions about you should not force your people back to the office, and you cannot, you have to have a mask policy for right now. When, we took some positions that turned out, not everybody agreed with those positions, but we felt that this was the right thing to do for the people. And so we said so. And we said it to our own people, and we said it to our clients and said, take it or leave it. And we built them tools and resources to communicate it so that they could keep their people safe. And so the big position we took there, in my opinion, if I could sum it up, was health and safety of our people first. So we just took a stand, before commerce, before the client's opinions, before anything else, the health and safety of our people is premier.
And our people, and we had to do it for our people to empower, because we all travel, or half of us travel. We had to do it for our people, and then our clients were looking for it.
Yeah. Well, during all of that, then the uprising, the sort of racial injustice, right, left, and center started happening, and and we were super upset by that, and by racial inequity. It just that some people's lives weren't as important as others, apparently, by the color of their skin, which made us sick and sad. And we sat sick and sad and talked about it for a day or so while it was all sort of rolling. And I'd been kind of sick and sad about it a few months prior with a runner who was killed, and I just couldn't stand it anymore. And our team agreed we just had to take a position that discrimination based upon the color of somebody's skin or any sort of violence against them or any of that is not okay, and that we are a stand for safety and health and dignity and inclusion and equal rights for all. And that's just how it is. And so we took that position, and we guided our clients because they were like, man, what do we do when our people are concerned? And so we didn't try to say, here's our position, it has to be yours. We just started to say, here's how you can figure out what sort of a position to take, and then here's how to communicate it. And then we've just continued to do that as things come up. We've created a pop-up on our website, and we've used it when the Ukraine conflict broke out. Mm-hmm. We were horrified. We are still horrified. Just sick that could happen, that an invasion like that could happen, and innocent people could be killed just for a sheer land grab, and that the whole world could stand and watch it. So sorry, we think that's all wrong. And, so we're a stand with Ukraine. And,
well, I think your people are looking for leadership. To your point, leaders are transparent. And I think we feel like, some of us were raised with don't say anything. Silence is better. Don't take a stand. That was where you started, Jen, is we don't talk about these things. But your next gen are talking about these things. They're tweeting about them. They're on Instagram. They're Snapchatting about them. They're doing TikToks about how ridiculous it is. They want leaders that are willing to take position, and they want to know where you stand. I mean, it's hard to follow a leader if I don't know where you stand. That's the other thing. So, your people, are looking for some direction on that. And it tells them about their safety and your commitment to them. There's a message in there as well, the whole safety or the whole racial inequality. If we're not taking a stand on those things, then, well, what does that mean for me, working here for you? And so, we think that that's important from a team perspective again, and so how do we, do that?
Yeah. And I think that's, you have to pick and choose, I guess, those that you feel passionate about, you think are important to take a stand or position on. But I believe that next gen clients and next gen talent want to know who they're doing business with.
Right.
And, there's the cancel culture, if you will, where, en masse, next gen folks are saying, we don't agree with the political policies of this company, and we're going to cancel them. We're not ordering them. We're going to quit using them. And I've done that myself. I have canceled entities based upon their investments. Here's what's silly. We won't take an overt social position and say it out of our mouths, or say it off of our website, or say it out of blogs, or say it in social media, but we'll give millions of dollars to political PACs and to other, we'll take positions financially. Mm-hmm. We'll support candidates that mirror our positions. And that's what we're seeing entities do, or we'll pick sponsors, or we'll sponsor types of companies or entities or bills or whatever, all around that stuff. But we'll act like we're keeping politics out of the business. And that's backroom, underground, not authentic, not straight, not real.
Don't look in this corner over here.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a decent amount of public disclosure required for those financial investments. And so, but you have to dig for it. You have to go looking for it to know what different companies support and who they support. And there is a decent amount of next gen talent and clients who know that that's happening. They want more transparency. They will dig for it, and then they'll cancel if they don't agree with it. So from our perspective, you might as well just be straight up about your positions, and or if you claim to have none, then stop financially supporting them. So that you can really be agnostic if there's such a thing. And I don't know if there's such a thing, but anyway, I do know this is facing more and more firms, and I have been very proud of, I'm going to name Wayne Burson for BDO because he's been public on a number of issues. He's been a huge proponent and really done some vulnerable sharing around racial equality and, his own personal story, and just has taken some fantastic steps as the leader of BDO to lead that firm forward in not just social positions, but human positions.
Right.
And I've just really admired the heck out of what he's been doing and applauded him and tried to, have him hear me that we really are learning from what he's doing. And but there's others. There's so many others that have taken great positions out there. And so that's something you have to face as a leader.
Yeah. Well, and that's something as HR professionals, you can lead the conversation with a partner group. Also, if you have a diversity, equity, and inclusion, committee, what are we communicating from that perspective? The likelihood is if you have that kind of committee, you're probably putting out some messages, but it might only be internally. And so maybe there's, something to up that game there or be more transparent about what your firm believes in. And it could be a recruiting message, both for talent, but also position from a client perspective. We say we're a faith-based organization, and we have clients that come to us because they see that listed in our values. It's something, if that's important to them, then they are like, we tell us more about that. We see that on your website, or they see different positions that we might be taking. So those are some places that you could bring it and, elevate the discussion about it in your firm. And, start talking about it, where we, might want to be taking those positions or messages, or, have more clarity around what it might be. So, and we know that's not easy. We know it can be, awkward. It can be tricky, or we got to do a lot of listening. And we got to come from, what's the most important for us. And we believe for many of the firms that we work with, talent, people, our clients, they're the human being side is, top. And so like I said, many of these issues are from that perspective. And so how do we not talk about it when we're talking about, the whole person or the whole being that we care about? So,
Tamera,
yeah,
I was just thinking that, some of us might be like, gosh, when we take this position, then some of our clients won't love us anymore. Or maybe some of our talent won't feel like they fit anymore. Or maybe talent that we were hoping to attract won't come. And, that's a sad thing if a position could cause that. But do we want to work with clients and talent that, are so vehemently against what we really believe? And I'm not saying that we don't want diverse viewpoints. We do. But is
right.
it, would you rather protect the people that work for you, with a health and safety policy, and maybe alienate a few clients that don't agree and they won't wear masks, or they want to come into the office again, so they'll find someone else or whatever? I mean, is that, at some point you've got to weigh some of that and say, is taking this position more worthwhile than the risk of alienating a few?
Yeah.
And, there's a cost benefit analysis or something there that you have to do. But from our perspective, it's, just be true to self. If you're not being true to self, then it's really, I don't know what we're doing.
Right.
If we're showing up all day, every day in work where we spend so much time, but we're not able to really be our complete self, then do we fit there anyway?
Right. Yeah. And that's where your values, and both personal values and our corporate values, our firm values, are so important. So,
Yeah.
So, food for thought. We just thought it was timely. We do hope that you maybe think about a message this week about next week's voting. And then, you might go back and talk to some different groups, your partners or your DE&I committee or others about, maybe we should be, taking a more transparent position, or what might that look like? And we'd love to hear from you if you have questions about it. If you are, wondering, how to couch it, or maybe, there's, some conversations you've had that haven't gone the way you would like them to, we can help you, talk through them. Let us know. We would be happy to do that. So in the meantime, we hope everybody has a safe, happy, spooky Halloween. Enjoy the holiday, and we will see you next time on our HR Huddle. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, everybody.